What's going on, guys? Back again. We're going to be ranking our updated top 12 tight ends for the 2026 fantasy football season. Let's dive in.
All right, and starting off our S tier, coming in as our number one tight end, we have Brock Bowers, and I really do think Brock Bowers is primed for a monster season. With the additions of Clint Kubiak as their new head coach, who we saw JSN have almost 1,800 yards with a 35.9% target share last year, and he's getting a massive QB upgrade from what he got with Geno Smith last year, with Kirk Cousins start the year and Fernando Mendoza if he ever comes into play in the middle of the year. So I really do think that Bowers is going to have a great season, and I do have him slightly ahead of Trey McBride.
Yeah, and with Bowers, this offense doesn't really have many options to throw the ball to. And I think Brock Bowers to be the number one feature target in this offense. And it truly is going to have a season similar to what he did in 2024, maybe even better. But I just hope that Brock Bowers can have a little more touchdown upside than we see in the past. Because if he gets to like 10 plus touchdown, 1,200 yards, that'll be incredible at Brock Bowers. And I can't see that. I can't see why that can't happen this season.
And you can just take a look at that receiver room. Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, Jack Beck. This guy's the number one option by far. It's not even close. And we know what Kubiak does with number one options.
All right, and our tight end two, by no surprise, is Trey McBride.
The thing with Trey McBride from every season besides 2025, there's always his knock on not scoring touchdowns. Last season, we saw him put up 11 touchdowns. In 2022, 2023, and 2024, he had a combined 6 touchdowns altogether. And I, Joey Brissett's the quarterback again, and I truly expect it to be very, very similar. What happened in 2025, maybe a little bit of regression, just because it's gonna be hard to. I think it's one of the better tight end seasons we've ever seen. 126 catches. Brissett loved to throw the ball to him, and he's another great tight end. And I I can't see why he would take a step back in 2026.
The only reason for me why I have Bowers above McBride is because I just believe that Carson Beck is going to be the starting QB near the fantasy playoffs, which would suck for you, of course. Because I mean, I just think Jacoby Brissett won one game as a starter last year, and I don't think he's going to win many this year, as they're not favored in any game this year.
I mean, if this team goes, let's say, 0-9, first 9 weeks, which is very possible, by the way, why would they ever throw out Jacoby Brissett again? He's old. He's on a one-year deal. Why not throw the rookie out there, which is our big knock on McBride. If Brissett's out and benched, it really hurts that whole offense, and especially him.
All right, starting off right, A tier, we got Colston Loveland.
Colston Loveland was a dog last year. In the last 4 games of the season, in week 17, 18, in the last 2 playoff games, he averaged over 12 targets per game. And in that span from week 9 into the playoffs, he averaged a little over 14 points per game. For a tight end, that's some elite numbers. And now DJ Moore's out of the picture. He's the clear number one option in this Bears offense that's just getting better. And yeah, I mean, I think he should be everyone's tight end 3 by far. It's not even really close, in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% think Colston Loveland is the Bears' number one option receiving wise, which is why I have knocked down Odunze and Burton, because I just think Loveland is by far the number one option for this team. And he really was great at the end of the year from week 15 on to that wild card game. He really was Caleb's number one option, having 10 plus targets in multiple games. All right, and our tight end 4 is Tyler Warren. And last year, in games fully healthy with Daniel Jones, we saw Warren average over 13 points per game, seeming like a stud. I mean, but then once, of course, Jones got hurt with the Achilles, he wasn't as good at the end of the year, only averaging around 6 points per game. But with Jones back on the Achilles tear, hopefully fully healthy coming into week 1, I do think it helps Warren more, because Jones, as we've seen in the past with Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, their deep ball really went away once the Achilles tear happened. So that's something we could see here from Jones. And of course, Michael Pittman Jr. was traded to the Steelers in the offseason. So I really do think that will open up more intermediate opportunities for Tyler Warren to take over.
You nailed it with that, especially with Michael Pittman gone. And Tyler Warren will be the underneath go-to guy for Daniel Jones. And 100%, if Daniel Jones is healthy, we'll get another great season at Tyler Warren. Definitely even better than what we saw, because after Jones got hurt, kind of went downhill for him. It was kind of hard. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Especially with Pierce's injury, too. Pierce could be out for the first couple weeks of the season. Definitely boosts up Warren. And yeah, that's definitely a solid pick in that 4th, 5th round for you.
There's a slim chance that Pierce ends up on PUP to start the season, which really makes the options kind of weak on this team. And Tyler Warren will be featured very heavily for the first couple of weeks if that does happen.
All right. Starting off our B tier, we have Tucker Kraft as our tight end 5.
Tucker Kraft was phenomenal for the first 8 games of the season until he wound up tearing his ACL. But coming back fully healthy, he's off PUP. Uh, he said he'll be ready week 1, and if that's the case, I mean, hopefully he can bounce back and look like himself in 2026 from what we saw. And him and Jordan Love look like they finally found that connection in 2025. And he's a big tight end, a lot of touchdown upside. And the Packers also got rid of Romeo Dobbs, opens up a little bit of targets, but I expect a lot of those to go to Matthew Golden in a way. And I think if Kraft is healthy, he's a lock to be a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, even with the Packers paying Christian Watson great money, I do think Tucker Kraft will be this team's number one option. My only scare is that Tucker Kraft was great after the catch last year, and if he can still be that good after the catch with the ACL tear, that's my only concern for Kraft. Okay, and continuing on, our tight end 6 is Sam Laporta.
In healthy games last season, Sam Laporta averaged a little under 12 points per game. And now with new offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, who we saw last year, what he did with McBride, that really can maybe help out Laporta a little bit. We know the Lions have a stacked weapon room with Gibbs, Amon-Ra, and Jameson Williams. But I mean, if one injury happens, Laporta can really be a top 5 guy for you. And you're getting him at really good value in this. And really late, these guys from like Kraft on are really good values, I believe, in fantasy drafts this year that really can compete to be a top 5 guy. Like any of these names really can be top 5. So, and Laporta definitely has a really good chance.
Yeah, this Lions offense is going to be great, of course, and Laporta is going to score touchdowns. I think he has that safe floor. The only thing is, I think with Petzing is that they're going to try and be more run heavy with Gibbs, I believe, than even more than they were last year. Is where they were throwing the ball more than they were in recent years with Montgomery and Gibbs back there. So that would mean that Laporta is going to be volatile gamely between him and Jameson Williams. They're both going to have spike weeks of force, but they're also both going to have duds. All right, and continuing on, our tight end 7 is Kyle Pitts, and we saw Kyle Pitts break out last year, finishing as the tight end 2. And for me, it doesn't really matter if this quarterback is with Tua or Michael Penix. I think he's going to be great no matter what, and I think you're actually getting him at a great value. As our tight end 7, I think that's ranked pretty low, and I think he could be higher than that. I think he has a higher upside than Laporta here, but I do think you're getting him great value in drafts, like we said, 7th round, 6th round. I think that's a pretty good spot for Pitts.
I really think any of these guys from here on out, as I said before, they really are. This year we're really stacked at tight end position. I believe these 12 guys we see right now. There's more guys underneath some honorable mentions that are still in these same tiers as these guys. I believe, and yeah, I mean we're lucky this year in tight end. If you don't get those 2 guys like McBride and Bowers, you can definitely wait on these guys in the 7th round steals over here.
He also got paid too, Kyle Pitts. He got a nice contract for himself, well deserved too. And like we saw Kevin Stefanski, David Njoku was always a solid tight end, and why can't Kyle Pitts be? I think Kyle Pitts is better than David Njoku, and that Kyle Pitts will be heavily featured in this offense because there isn't many receivers there outside of Drake London.
And they actually lost Darnell Mooney in the offseason as well, too.
Yeah, he went to the Giants.
Okay, and our tight end 8 is Harold Fannin.
The only reason why we're ranking Harold Fannin at 8 is because they added a lot of weapons throughout the draft. Because they brought in Casey Concepcion in the first round, Denzel Boston in the second. And last year we kind of saw it was practically just Harold Fannin as the top target for the Browns last season. He also moved around a lot in that offense, and now with new coaching in Cleveland with Todd Monken, it's going to be a little different. Harold Fannin will be used a lot, and he will be a solid tight end. But I don't think we'll see him as a top 5 tight end like we did last season, just because the weapons they brought in.
He doesn't have the touchdown upside as all these guys ahead of him. I mean, that Browns offense is going to be terrible, and whoever the quarterback is, I mean, they're all going to suck, I believe.
But he did have a connection with Shadur Sanders last season, but I think that Watson's going to start, and it might be a little different as the season goes along for Harold Fannin.
All right, and starting off our seats here, we have George Kittle as our tight end 9.
So Kittle sucked last year, tore his Achilles in that playoff game against the Eagles. But in 2025, he averaged 14.5 points per game, finishing as the tight end 3. We know how good Kittle is. And with these reports saying he can return in week 1, I really like the value you're getting on Kittle. He's getting old, obviously. But with Pearsall after the year, he's definitely the number 2 option easily for this Niners receiving game. And yeah, as tight end 9, it's really good value. I'll say it again.
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends. I believe he's gonna. I believe he's gonna miss week 1. Actually, I do think just because of where the game is. I do think he'll be back week 2 though. Like we said before, we said this in live streams. If you're drafting George Kittle, why not just take Jake Tunges at the end of your draft in that last round? I mean, he was a great starting caliber tight end in fantasy last year when he was playing for Kittle.
Yeah, when Jake Chanders filled the role of George Kittle, that was a great point. He put up not George Kittle numbers, but he put up solid back end tight end one numbers. Averaged like 9 points a game, maybe even 10, which is very solid for Jake Chanders. But I truly think that Kittle's being very, very undervalued in drafts right now. As Kittle is tight end 9 is the lowest you're probably ever going to find him at. As you're not going to get it, you're not going to find a legit tight end like this late in the draft ever. I mean, the touchdown upside will always be there. He's one of the best tight ends in all of football. He's heavily featured in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And towards the end of the season, as he gets healthier and healthier off that Achilles tear, you'll expect him to look like the George Kittle of old.
All right, and finishing off our seats here, we have Travis Kelce as our tight end 10. And I mean, I think Kelce is severely underrated this year. I mean, we've seen he hasn't finished outside of the top 5 tight ends since 2015. And I'm not sure if he's going to be a top 5 tight end this year, but I for sure think he has a safe floor at this and that's at his range. He's going in the around the 100 picks in ADP, so I really do think that's good value. And it kind of reminds me how Brady and Gronk were back with Tampa Bay. I mean, they just have such high chemistry, Mahomes and Kelce, and so he's always the ball just always seems to find Kelce, and he's always managed to be open in these escape games for Mahomes. All right, and starting off our D tier, we have Isaiah Likely as our tight end 11.
Isaiah Likely goes to the Giants, and the reason why I'm particularly very high on Isaiah Likely is you look at the Giants' weapons outside of Malik Neighbors, they don't really have much. They drafted a rookie in the third round out of Notre Dame, and they also have Darnell Mooney. But I think Isaiah Likely slides in as that number 2 passing option. As we've seen a lot of reports from training camp that Isaiah Likely is featured a lot in this offense. I mean, he's always been an explosive tight end. He's been fast, but he's been backing up Mark Andrews for the past 4 seasons. Now, finally, he gets a chance to start. Gets to be a starting tight end in the Giants, and we finally get to see Likely playing playing his own role now. He'll have a role in this Giants offense, and hopefully he can turn to a lot of fantasy points. And I mean, Likely will always bring upside. Just can he put it together consistently?
Yeah, there have been reports saying that they want Isaiah Likely to be this team's number 2 option behind Malik Neighbors in the passing game, and I think it's definitely open for him to be. There's really no other receiver options I'd say behind Neighbors, and I mean we've seen John Harbaugh and Matt Nagy both use tight ends a lot. We've seen Mark Andrews be great over the years, and of course obviously Travis Kelce. All right, and finishing off our tier list, we have Mark Andrews as our tight end 12.
So I like Andrews a lot this year. With Isaiah Likely leaving and heading over to the New York Giants, Andrews is all alone in this tight end room. And as we saw 2 years ago when Lamar Jackson was snubbed at MVP, he threw 41 touchdowns, and Andrews was the leader of touchdowns by far. And I really could see this happening next year as well. We know he's grown with age, but he's all alone. What's it called? I could see him in definitely overpassing 10 touchdowns. It's all about health. I'll say it, all about health.
Yeah, he's not the tight end anymore for you that's going to average 19 points per game like we saw back in 2019, but he's definitely a low end tight end 1, I think, and he can definitely have spike weeks scoring 2+ touchdowns a game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
the thing with Mark Andrews is Isaiah Likely's gone, and so is Charlie Kolar. Both tight ends played roles in the Ravens' offense, and in a way, I truly believe that Mark Andrews is not like he was in 2019, 2021. But the Ravens still believe in him, and they gave him a 3-year extension, so they're definitely going to be using him. And Mark Andrews is still going to thrive around the red zone. If this Ravens offense bounces back, he's the go-to guy around the goal line, especially like I said, without those 2 tight ends there anymore. He'll be a streamable tight end you can play based on touchdown upside, and that's why he's inside the top 12.
And they also did extend him this offseason, so that definitely
Yeah, 3 years,
shows their
3-year
trust in
deal.
him.
And also, even after Mark Andrews, I'll say this, with some guys after him, we got guys like Ferguson, Goddard. These are guys you're getting super duper late, which really can be startable for your squad. If you'd rather those guys over Likely and Andrews and those maybe Kelce too as he's grown with age, I could definitely see it. Also Sadiq too. I mean, this guy Sadiq will be the number 2 option for the Jets. So there's a lot of tight ends that are going late that really can get themselves to the top 12 for sure.
Also play it by matchup. You can stream tight ends, you could pick up, you could drop. So Tight end's a very flexible position. You can move around as your season goes on. Hope you guys enjoyed our top 12 tight ends. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. Check out the Instagram, Twitter, like, subscribe, and keep following us as we'll keep delivering more fantasy content throughout the summer.
Yes, sir.